Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you on our 23rd edition of this webinar, right? So it's quite a uh, long journey, right? As Abhijit rightly said, uh, sometimes we start an initiative, but continuing with that for quite some time is really uh, it takes a lot of effort. I mean, somehow expecting this is to be the last one for this year, and the next year we are going to come up with something more interesting in a different formats, etc., and more insightful sessions, right? To bring in for you. Now, today we have got a fireside chat planned with one of our key speaker, keynote speaker, Vidisha Boshu. She is from Infosys. She's a senior consultant, and we are going to discuss about evolution of product management and challenges in AI area. Now, in the past few discussions, we have been exploring how AI is impacting the different industry, different domains, different roles, right? We explored the roles of Scrum Masters, coaches, consultant, leadership, but now there are many other roles, and uh, honestly, AI is touching or transforming all the roles to do their job in a much more efficient way. So we thought, like, why don't we go ahead and also explore how the product management area is also going to be explored, because that is one of the key area for a right product success. Now, one Steve Jobs said about customer centricity that product management is a very key area, and to to get a success, you have to be customer centric. And when I talk about customer centricity, right, I always say you know your customers so well that even before they understand their problem, you provide them right with the solution. So the world of product management is undergoing one of the most significant shift in decades. Now we all have been knowing, and product management is not just a particular role. It is a combination of multiple roles. Like you can say business analyst, senior business analyst, product owner, product manager, solution manager. All of them are coming and falling into this category. Now with AI reshaping how the problems are solved, how users interact with the products, how business scale, the role of product manager is also evolving. Now it is no more only feature prioritization centric, but it is more of now orchestrating intelligent, adaptive, and ethical experience. So we have been hearing about a lot of definition of ready, definition of down. Now we are now trying to explore, is there any new definition, right, coming up in the AI era? Now today's PMs must balance strategy with data, creativity with governance, and innovation with responsible AI. Now, the question is no longer what feature should we build, it is rather how do we design the product that learn, adapt, and earn user trust in an AI driven world, because that is a very important area to gain the trust of the user who eventually going to use your product or service or your offering. Now, in today's sessions, we are going to touch upon few key areas. Now, the first area to begin with is, of course, transition from the traditional to the AI-driven product management. Then how can we balance between the product intuition, which is the core area of any product manager, now when it is driven by the data. So balancing the product intuition with the data. Then personalization and the user experience. Now we all know that gone are those days where product management can work on a deterministic product because things are changing very fast. So it now has to be a probabilistic output. Then product security, data privacy, that is of course one of the key area that we are trying to explore. Preventing model bias and ensuring fairness so that the product is useful for everyone without any discrimination or any other bias. Now, cross-functional collaboration in the AI product team. And finally, last but not the least, which is the most important uh, area, that how can we measure the success? So measuring success beyond the traditional KPI, how things are going to be changed. So with no more delay, I would like to welcome our speaker for today, Vidisha Boshu. So she's a geoscientist turned product leader with deep expertise in analytics and agile delivery. I personally worked with her in my current organization. Now she's moved to in her new opportunity, but I found her very, very capable and very, very capable and competent, right, in her work when I was kind of working with her, and I got an opportunity. I got a opportunity to mentor her in some of the product management key initiatives. So at Infosys, she serves as a business analyst and a scrum master for a downstream oil and gas digital transformation program, where she leads sprint planning, drives requirement refinement, enables efficient cross-functional collaboration. Now, her prior roles here at Shell, SLB,
Mahal.
Schlumberger, and CGI span basin modeling, product quality enhancement, and steering teams through complex subsurface data workflows. With her unique blend of geological insight and business analytics, Bidisha excels at translating technical complexity into meaningful, high impact product outcomes. So, welcome, and it's a great honor for us, Bidisha, to have you in this conversation. Now, let's move to our right discussion.
Yeah,
Now, as I
thanks,
told,
Shubho,
yeah,
for
as I
that
told,
wonderful introduction.
no, no, you deserve it. You deserve it. Now, let's move to our first part of the right discussion. As I said, that we are going to touch upon around 8 areas. The first area is the very simple one to begin with. How,
Right.
and most of us are very comfortable with the traditional product management area, right? So that does not need any further introduction or any further context setting. So how are we transitioning from traditional to AI native product management is going to be our first area to explore. So your question is, how has a product manager role evolved now that the product must learn, adapt, and improve continuously rather than being released as a static feature sets? Over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So, thank you for that introduction, like I said, and it just hit me that this is the last webinar for the year. So I think it's special in that way. Uh, but yeah, I think now with this, this entire AI thing coming into the picture, and the focus that we have is, for example, even now that what we do is not just stop at feature, the feature delivery. It's not just stopping at feature delivery. Rather, once you deliver that feature, that is the start point of you to analyze the feedback, to analyze the accuracy of data, and to also think how you can have more data, or you can feed your model with some relevant and very specific user centric data, so that it gives you a better opportunity, it gives you more diverse areas to explore. So I would say it's not that, like in the past, or few years back also, we used to talk to the users, get their feedback, and then have the PBIs ready, and once say 10 PBIs in a feature is ready, it's shipped, and then it's done, and then you give a demo to the users are happy, and then again you have a feedback loop. But then now with the AI era, so you need to have more data coming in. You need to know
Right,
that how accurate your model is, how precise, and like you said, it's more of a probabilistic approach than AI just just telling you that yeah, this is the correct answer. So in order for you to approach more closer to the correct, whatever is correct, you need to have that feedback loop set. You need to have the improvements in the data, and therefore I think as a product owner or as a product manager, whichever role you are in, uh, just ending with delivery of your product is not the end of the per se, whatever you call it, a sprint or a PI or something,
right,
but rather gaining more insights from that data, or gathering more insights from the feedback that has established with the AI coming, because there's plenty of opportunities and plenty of options that AI will be giving you, but
correct,
you having to concentrate and take the correct values to feed your model, and then also to see that whether that is actually giving you what you expect,
right.
is what the present scenario is changing to, I would say.
Excellent, excellent. So now we are moving to the next part of the conversation, like product intuition with the data. Now, if I take a step back, so generally the product managers have they do have a great domain knowledge, right? They are subject matter expert. And based on their subject matter, right, expertise, they come up with the requirement with their intuition, with their knowledge, right, which they are having in them, right, in their DNA. But now, as you rightly said, things are being driven by the data. It's not about only their intuition, but how the customers are perceiving the product. And because ultimately, always remember, it is not that a push to the customer, right, with my feature, rather how the customer demand, and accordingly I should, like typically what we call it as a benefit hypothesis, feature benefit hypothesis. How the instead of I tell you that this is my feature and this is going to help me, let the customer tell that okay, these are the things I want, and you think that okay, what feature you can give me to address my concern. So it's more of a kind of feedback oriented, as you rightly pointed out. Now the question here is, in sectors where the data is incomplete or not matured or maybe biased, like healthcare, public service, and rural finance, where we are dealing with human emotion, sometimes with human life, and people where they are not very so called rich. So playing with their money, you cannot do it. Right? It's a very, very difficult thing to do, or it's a very, I would say, unethical thing to do. So how should PMs, product managers, balance the intuition with the data-driven decisions?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question because I come from the background of geology and it's earth science, so it's
Right.
nature. You're playing with nature. So over there, you cannot let AI, take the decision because it's nature, so anything is possible. But if, and at the same time, you just mentioned about, different sectors of finance and healthcare. So in my opinion, I think the human touch that you have, or say you have in your experience, at least for me, I have in my experience, say from the geological point of view, there are a lot of setups that we say, so you have a lot of data points over there, and then you have an intuition that there is a probability that we might get, say I'm coming from the oil and gas, so a probability of getting oil and gas over here. But if your AI is telling you a different opinion, it might, like, getting the data, it might just predict that, there's a less probability. But if you have that intuition and you feel that, human intervention is needed, then I think, like, this has been a case with us that, where the expertise of the human being, because you also have been the subject matter expert, you also have seen a lot of such areas. So over there your own expertise will never take a seat back. Maybe AI can augment some of the questions,
Right.
or it can intrigue some of the questions which you might not have asked yourself. Or for example, if I can think of, if you're giving a loan to somebody in a rural area,
Mm-hmm.
and they might not be seeing the balance and seeing whatever the regular checks that you see to give a loan, say that person is not qualifying for that, getting that loan. But there might be some assets, you never know, which are not consider which are not present in the AI model that you have fed in.
Correct.
But it's possible that they might be rich in some other way, and therefore it's your own intuition which is saying. So I think these are some of the factors which you can feed into the AI model, and then so therefore always a human impact or a human influence will be there. AI can help you in, like I said, you might have an intuition which might not correlate with what AI is saying. But there is where you have to maintain a balance, and sometimes you can go with your own gut feeling and not rely on AI as a whole. And that has been cases, and there has been cases, like I said, in my own domain, where of course, like some seniors, the experience that they carry has overridden or over it has overridden the AI, whatever the AI has said. So
Mm-hmm.
in that case, in those cases, I think these are some of the cases where AI, always cannot trust AI blindly. There has to be the questions that you should ask to AI. There has to be things that AI can help you in improving, but not therefore, the some people are afraid that, there might be that your jobs would be redundant,
Mm,
but then I do not think that way, because like what you bring to the table, whatever your brain, or whatever your capabilities are, it might be augmented by AI. But of course, like I wouldn't say that you trust it blindly without analyzing, whatever yourself is the best. So in my opinion, you have to maintain a balance, and it would be a case to case basis. So
correct.
depending whatever case you're dealing with, you have to have that balance and not solely rely on AI. Like, of course, everyone is relying on AI, but not use your own intelligence as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we come to the third area, which is called personalization and the user experience. Now, before I directly go to the question, what is a persona? A simple definition of persona is it's a fictional character that represents a user segment who can use the product in different way. And we know that for a single product, we can always see there are different type of variant. Why we have a for a same product we have different type of variant to cater to the need of those user segment. So the point here is how should PMs design personalization feature so that they feel supportive and relevant rather than intrusive or over automated?
Yeah, this is a interesting question, because that is, I think, the primary role of any product, that you create a product to cater to individuals' need. And you have to, it cannot be that if the AI, or just talking about AI, because we are talking about the influence of AI and the challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges over here is that, it cannot be that AI is dictating what you want.
Mhm.
Rather, your wants or your needs should come naturally. Like, for example, if I tell you, say, nowadays we have a lot of recommendation of songs, etc., say on Spotify, whatever
Right.
you are using. And say you're driving, and it's daytime that you're driving, and the AI can recommend you. They can give you that, okay, fine, this is the daytime, this is the mood, this is you're driving, I experience this. So these are the kinds of songs you can. But imagine if it is being over predictive, and it just changes, say you're driving, it just changes your music. then then that is overpowering nature that AI would have. So in my opinion, I think that getting that feedback from the customers, and then utilizing those feedback to get more, and also catering to individuals needs,
Correct.
is something that the product owner or the product manager has to go and talk to the customers and get their requirements, and then formulate something with the help of AI. Like, a little bit of touch of AI would be there, but I think AI cannot be dictating over us. It can be used as something that would help us, but not something that would tell us with certainty that this is what the customer needs. So there, I feel that always the research that you go into, like you were talking about the persona. So
Right.
there are a lot of research that goes into identifying that persona, and the
Correct.
questions probably you would ask a persona to gain more feedback, or to gain that
Empathy
knowledge,
mapping.
wherein
Yeah.
you know that
Empathy
this is,
mapping.
yes,
Absolutely. Hmm.
where you would know that what are the needs, what are the wants, what are the no's. I think there is a huge list where you can
Correct.
put all your data together from the. So those things are something that you have to do. Like, it's not that AI, you can just type on AI, and the AI giving you some feedback, and then you deliver. So in that cases, I think you need to understand the mood of the customer, you need to understand the pain points of the customer, the happy index, the sad index. So all those
Right.
things you have to pinpoint, and thereby you can come up with features which are specific and cater to individual needs. And that is where you can get more customers. Like, even if you're talking about the KPIs that we talk about. So even over there, to adjust to those KPIs, to get those KPI details, we need to cater to the customers. And therefore, these things start right from the place where this persona identification and the requirements and all these would go in flow. So there, like everyone was saying that there would be a balance, because sometimes I think that we try to trust AI more, and this has been a few of my personal experiences also in various teams. But at the same time, I'm telling you that human touch is absolutely essential to connect with your customers.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Now let's move to the next part, that is managing probabilistic output. Now, for that, I need to again take a step back. So, when in our waterfall days, the requirements were more predictable. Now, when I say waterfall, like very legacy, traditional waterfall, like maybe 25, 30 years back. Now, why all of a sudden we moved to waterfall to agile? Because we were seeing that market is changing very fast. Correct. So, and waterfall, we are fixing the requirement, and after that, we are not looking back. So ultimately, when the work is produced, by the time the market might have moved ahead, and here comes the agile. So where we are continuously refreshing our backlog with not so much of uncertainty, but still to address the market disruption, the market changes, and to make sure the team is always aligned to the market change by this dynamic product backlog. Now from there, but still we cannot say there may not be much changes, because now we are that time also we used to call it as a VUCA world, but now we are calling it as a right bunny world, brittle, anxious, nonlinear, and incomprehensible world where nothing is fixed, everything is changing very fast, and AI systems inherently carry uncertainty. So, from that perspective, how should PMs set user and stakeholder expectation regarding accuracy and reliability?
Hmm. Yes. So there, in this world that you were talking about, where, and also in this agile world, like I think everything is too agile right now. Uh, Sometimes it's like it's too agile also to adapt to the constant change that is happening. And what I feel and what we do is not give the customers with a false hope or with certainty. Like maybe you just tell that this is what my AI predicts, or this is what the prediction happens, but there is a certain confidence level attached to it. So you give that, so that you also get the customer, the empathy as well as the confidence of the customer, that say for example you building a tool, say a healthcare tool, and you feed in some of the data, and it will give you, say, what the disease is, probably, if it can predict. Then you do not say with certainty that this is what the prediction is, but then you give a certain amount of confidence level, that this is what, based on this data, this is what the confidence we are we feel that this much confident we are to give you this certain answers. But at the same time, you should also have a safety net, because there should be always a plan B. For example, you're doing a product where there are a lot of challenges, and you don't know what the feedback would be, whether the customers will accept you or not accept you. So there should be a safety net somewhere, I feel, where a non-AI related product can also be quickly shipped, so that you get your customers, you retain your customers, and if things don't go the way you plan, then
Right.
at least you can have something in place to hold on to the customers, and then you can build on it more. So, what I find is that in this uncertainty, you should tell the customers about how much uncertain you are. Like, be
Right.
vocal about it, be honest about it, and not just, plain and simple give your opinion in a way that when, say, the feedback comes, it's all a negative feedback that you're getting. So, at least there should be a balance that is maintained. And, like I said, you have that confidence level built with your product as well.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Now coming to another dimension, and which is a very, very important dimension, that is the product security and data privacy. Now, again, 15, 20 years back when Agile was in very nascent stage, that time people used to say, how can you determine which type of projects can be more suitable for Agile? And we used to say there is something called Stacy metrics. Now, Stacy Metric says there are certain industry or the domain where the data don't change very much, data don't shift very much. In that case, we can still continue with the waterfall. There will be certain area where the data and the technology shifts in a considerable, I mean, in a reasonable pace. Now, in that case, those will be kind of suitable for your agile way of working. And the third part is called the anarchical data, where the both your requirements and the technology complexity, those are changing very, very frequently, kind of relating to your previous answer and to some extent here as well. Now, if I think about some regulated industries like healthcare, BFSI, where the data, the patient data or the customer data is so important that you cannot afford to leak the data, and there is not a single chance of single point of failure you can I mean afford. It's almost like a Six Sigma model. So how should a product manager ensure, and that is one of the I did a research in my organization, and I found in the payments area or the healthcare area, people are very skeptical. The clients are very skeptical about adopting AI because they are still not sure whether our firewall is so secured that their customer data is not going to go out of that. So with this challenge, how should product manager ensure security and data privacy when building AI product, especially in regulated industries like healthcare and the BFSI?
Yeah. So I think at one point in the past, I used to see that we're talking about, data privacy while we are discussing about the feature, or maybe while we are implementing the feature,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like maybe the developers, when they were discussing, then these were the thoughts as NFRs we used to write.
Correct.
The non-functional requirements, NFRs.
Right.
But now, when we are just at the very inception, when you are thinking of a product, the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that strikes your mind is the data privacy, data security. What are the different compliances that you have to maintain before you can even start, thinking about the product? Like that's the start point that I would say. Like the first thing is this is the product, and the next question probably that pops up in everyone's mind is about the security. Because even in my field, I work in the oil and gas, so there are the big giants that are like the big oil companies, and you cannot afford to lose, or in any way publish
Correct.
any of the the data that is relevant to the company. Then that
True.
is a big issue that would happen. And I think it's similar to the ones with healthcare as well. So what you have to think about is how you can encrypt the data,
Mm-hmm.
whether there would be logs that are like various things. I think you, as a product manager, you might not have so much experience, but you can talk with the development team, you
Correct.
can talk with your architects, and then I think a very important role as a product manager, or into the product line, is a mix of people that you work with, and therefore you are not the sole person who is taking a decision. It will be backed by a lot of people, and you are the person who is collating it, and then thinking or publishing the product. So in this model, you will come to know when you discuss with them that what are the different encryptions that you might have to do, the different logs probably you have to keep. And also just think, or maybe a data scientist, like I don't know, but then it could be a situation where a data scientist could say that we need all the data. But as a
Correct.
product manager, you need to think what are the essential and absolutely necessary data that you need to feed into your model as a first level to
Mm-hmm.
get some answers. Not necessarily that you feed in every data that you have available and train your model. So that is very important, that the personal data, especially in healthcare, you have a lot of personal data which is involved. So encryption of those data and only collect those data which are necessary is, I think, very important. And this is what you have to think prior to even having your backlog ready, and whatever process you follow
Mm-hmm.
in shipping your product, is thinking about the data privacy, data security. And you'll get these things once you discuss with your the different team members that you have. And then also you can get some idea from some other products, like relevant products in the market. So there are ways and means in which you can get the answers. But at the same time, this should be the first question, and it is always the first question that we have when building a product. Say, for example, right now I work with Eka Solutions. That's also one of the oil and gas. So, but
Hmm.
the data that we work with, they are, like test data we work with. But at the same time, as a product manager, you have access to the production data. So you know that these are the data that is available. You cannot show it. So maybe
Hmm.
build something around it which is relevant to the users, but not the whole of it, which is not required. And so there has to be, I'm going to say it depends from case to case, but what I was trying to or aiming to say is, have those things in place. What are the places where you can have the encryption logs, etc., etc., whatever you discuss with your team, and then collect only those data which are absolutely necessary for your analysis. And then also do not disclose all the data which is available with everyone, I would say. So that is how you can try to maintain, because security and compliance, these are very, very essential key for product managers. Very, very important.
Right, right. Now coming to the another very important area of the where the product manager should look into is preventing model bias and ensuring fairness. Now, for any industry for that matter, whether it is an education industry or a healthcare industry or communication industry, telco, anything that you take, the competition is always rising in the right. But still, there is a perception about this product is good, this product we have not yet found good, or we have not yet checked that product. A little bit of biasness is coming into picture. Now, 2 weeks back, I was in my organization, I was talking to my HR recruitment team, telling that I want to empanel, can we empanel these colleges, right, from Kolkata. Now they said that Shubho, this year we are only hiring for certain premier institute. Now, if it is IIT, I can understand. But where where is that benchmark getting created that okay, these are the premier institute and these are not? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we have seen that there is a biasness coming into picture. Okay, if it is so and so XYZ, it's a good institute. If it is a ABC, it's not so good institute. If it is IJK, it's a mid institute, something like that. But ultimately, sometimes we have seen that even if you are not coming from such a premier institute, but you are producing a great result as far as the performance is concerned. So as a product manager, now that's just an example. Now that HR recruitment has these type of biases, and not only I just took one example, there are plenty of it. So how can a PM actively identify and mitigate this algorithmic bias when training and deploying the AI system? Because that is very crucial for them.
Yeah. Uh, So, if I may say that as a PM, you have been into the subject for a certain period of time, and therefore you know the end to end of a product that you are building. So that should be like at the tip of your fingers. Like, if you are into product management, if you are into anything related to the product, then the idea and the pain points of the users and what your product is doing, you should have the hands on. You're the first person of contact for that product. So having said that, sometimes we fail, definitely we do fail, and we fail to understand some of the areas that we need to understand. Like, for example, you were talking about the HR. So there might be a bias that this XYZ college is the best, and if you get students from that college, you will have a greater performance in your organization. But at the same time, if you have seen from your historic data that there might be some other colleges from where you have gathered people, and you do get the same results. Like, it's not necessarily that from the premier institutes only. If you get, then you will get an astounding, but you might have people even from some other colleges where they have equally good results. So this biases always exist. And also there could be an example of this Digiyatra that
Hmm.
we were talking about, right? So over there, when it was first introduced, they see your retina, they scan your eyes, and then they put it in. But while you are evolving your product, you get to know from the feedback that these are the issues in our product, this
Correct.
is where the product might be improved. So
Hmm.
in it, so for example, somebody whose eyes are not as large, or maybe they are inherently from that region, they may be inherently small eyes, then it would be very difficult, and maybe this was not taken into account when designing the first prototype of the product. So
Correct.
as you go and as you keep on improving your product, and as you get more feedback on your product, then you get to know that the different dimensions which you have to cover, or the different segments that you probably have missed. And so those are the things that you will get with your experience, and you will get with the customer feedback. And having said that, in these cases, I think sometimes the role of AI also plays to some extent, it can be very useful. Like I was saying, like for example, a very simple thing I can say, that say you're writing an acceptance criteria for something, but you have thought about, say, 10 possible acceptance criteria, but you might not have thought of something which the AI might have just helped you that to identify, and then you think, oh yeah, this is also a dimension that I should think about. So this is where you can gather the feedback, take the help of AI, and then improve and uh, improve on the prototype that you have built. So I think that is how you can remove the biases, because at times it's very prone, it's actually very prone, and you might have not thought of a situation, but those things can be mitigated, or over time it can be stabilized, I would say.
Excellent. Now, coming to cross-functional collaboration with the AI product teams.
Mm.
Now, sometimes people consider product manager as a Madurga. She's having right-hand hands and she can do everything. But you have to understand that is just a role, right? Even if you consider that as a single person, he cannot or she cannot take all the decisions. There are many things, right, that they need to look into, like a research, user research, market research, data science, engineering, risk, legal, UI, UX, many other things. So how should PMs create an alignment across data science? And if any of these things are getting faltered, then your product will be of no use. So there has
Mhm.
to be a right balance in all these dimensions. So how should PMs create an alignment across the data science, engineering, risk, legal, and UX teams to ensure a consistent product outcome?
First thing, if you are trying to come into the product management or into the product domain, then at least the communication is the key. And I think it's true for everything. The communication is the key. And like I just mentioned in some of your previous answers, that it might not be that you have everything. Like you
Correct.
cannot have all the knowledge and from all the aspects which are utilized in a product, right? For example, if I come from the geoscience background, I can talk about the geology part of it, but I would not know from the development perspective. From the UX perspective, I can have some idea, but then of course a UX designer would have better way of
Absolutely.
implementing the workflow. So you need to be a team. You need to as a product manager, you can say, for example, if I can rightly think right now, is a chatbot. Like nowadays, with a lot of chatbots are coming everywhere. So you can say that if we have a chatbot, then that might help in reduction of 80% of the issues, or we should get 80% of customer satisfaction, and 20% say reduction uh, of the issues that the customer repeatedly
Mm.
figures out. Okay. So this is what your statement as a product manager can be. But for this, the UX person has to design a workflow which is very easy and very user intuitive, so that the user does not have spend long time for the chatbot to answer. The developer needs to say that how you can reduce the chatbot speed, like the speed, how they can counteract and help in in not having the chatbot, reduced work with reduced speed. And the data scientists, they say that how the model accuracy would be to achieve, the call reduction. The legal people would be there to help you with, the compliance and the other
SLAs, yeah.
yeah, yeah, whatever are relevant to your product. So I think, like, if you're working on a product, it's not one person's product. It's I mean, not one person's idea. Rather, it's an idea that has developed from the feedbacks that you get and from the user problems. But in order to solve that user problem, it is a multi-dimensional approach that you have to take. And you can suggest what is your idea, and to validate those ideas and to also counteract. It's not like necessarily that what I say is set in stone. So there are, development community who come and questions my opinion, and then even I have to rethink and say that, okay, this might not be what, we can deliver, or this, I have to improve, I have to think in a different way. So these kind of conversations are very common, and these are the conversations should happen in order for a product to be successful. So I think you should trust your team members as well as gather feedback, and then, have a unified entity that can be pushed to production, I would say.
Brilliant. Now, the last question for today, and without that question, no discussion can get ended. That is measuring success beyond traditional KPI, and that does not need any introduction. Because when things are changing, the way of approach is changing, naturally, you cannot measure the success with the traditional KPI that we have been using for like past 10 years or 20 years. So, what are your suggestions? Which new metrics should be prioritized for AI product beyond the usage and the revenue?
Yeah, so I think as any product, you talk about, your NPS score, you talk about your churn rate, you talk about, how your revenue and your customer satisfaction. These are like some of the basic things that you would do. But with the AI coming, the first thing is that whether your AI, whatever has been, is trust and how much it is utilized. So I think that adoption rate of AI output is one of the key KPIs that you can think of. Then the return of investment on AI is also something that you need to think of, like that you are, which can be your operational efficiency. Like you're investing in AI. So whether the output that you're getting from the AI is actually, helping you, or it is giving you some benefits, or it's helping you even in your revenue generation as such. So, like for example, your chatbot, the example that you give. So, chatbot efficiency is also something that you can think of, in a way, if that is one of the products that you're developing. Then, how much your user engagement is increasing with the use of AI, like whether the AI has been able to predict something for you, which is helping you for your user engagement improvement. If there are any financial improvements or engagements that AI has suggested, whether, so I think a lot of the KPIs can come into the picture. So with which would ensure your trust in the AI, the usability, the utility of the AI. So these are few of the parameters that just I could think of, but there can be many such which, given the AI domain is also playing a role in any of the domains, could be utilized for, as well as, like the AARRR
Right.
matrix that we use, which is acquisition, then the retention, revenue,
Act-
and yeah, the
Activation, yeah.
activation. Yeah, so if you can think of those, and in all those segments you can have the AI metrics as well, like all the metrics that I suggested. So you have those components as well, and then you get your data, and then you can analyze how efficient your system is, or how efficient your model is.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Thirisha. It was really quite an insightful discussion. Thank you so much for that. Now I'll open it up for anyone who would like to have any question. Feel free. Anyone?
So, Brotho, so I specifically don't have a question,
Uh-huh.
but just a suggestion, and for maybe all of us who participate in these conversations, who are kind of trying to share their knowledge, experience, etc. So, see, this topic, and I'm taking this topic because it would be relevant for the discussion. If you look at product management and if you look at the entire product life cycle,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking from my experience in trying to sell products to the CIO, CTOs of the world.
Right, right. Mm-hmm.
Now, one is obviously demonstrating the knowledge we have. And now, AI being an emerging technology, demonstrating knowledge is very essential. The depth of knowledge or the breadth of knowledge, both. Both of you talked about the domain expertise in creating or incubating a product. Thereafter, while you are managing the life cycle of the
Correct.
product, how you utilize AI for operational efficiency
Right.
in terms of project management or program management, etc. While these are important, but increasingly what we are all seeing, and I am sure you all would resonate to this, is that the CIO community or even the CEO, CFO community are looking at experience.
Correct.
Now, what essentially that means is how much of this, what you are talking from an academic or theoretical perspective, you have used,
Mm.
and what is the output that you have got? Where
Correct.
have you used this? Where have you done this? What is the output of the KPI that you are, mentioning that you have got in a customer of similar nature?
Right.
So that is what they're always looking for, and over the last 5 years, this has, become a more of a trend and a practice than looking at the solution that you are proposing.
Correct.
Correct. So in that case, if we can have these conversations, say for example, is Bidisha has been practicing this in her own organization, and we all represent I mean, individual skills and
Mm-hmm.
an organization,
Correct.
which essentially means we bring in the best practices that are, carried out in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can share those also as a part of these conversations, which help all of us understand how AI is being used, if at all, then I think it would be beneficial for all of us.
Absolutely.
Just a
Can't
suggestion.
can't agree more. I would just like to just give one point, like which fully resonate with your thought, and I think that's a great idea to have a panel conversation in the new year. That because not one person can share many examples, but if we can have multiple people, they can share their own example. But I can just tell you one. I work for CGI. They are a service organization. At the same time, they do have their IP product. And I think I gave that answer to some time back to Moinak also, right? He asked that question. So in the client conversation, when they come, we always show them a lot of case studies, use cases. And the first question they ask, have you applied that in your own organization? And we don't have an answer, right? What benefit have you received if you apply that in your own organization? Because you are also, right, building your own IP product. Have you applied that? Right? In some cases, pockets, yes, like there is a tool called Navi, right, which is used for test automation. So that use case is very, very successful in our organization. And we are showcasing that to many other clients. And there are quite a few clients, for confidentiality, I cannot share the name, but there are quite a few clients who are adopting that. They are ready to buy that solution whenever we are showcasing that. So that's a fantastic point you raised, Abhijit. It's not about only talking about theory, but how much we can actually convert them into practice so that we can have a sellable pitch for them with example instead of just selling a pitch, right, with no examples created. Okay, where have you used that? I'll take that as a kind of feedback. Very good point. Any other question?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I
Yeah, Moina, go ahead.
yeah, I have for both Subrata and Vidisha, since you're talking about product management, often what we have seen is that the product management team collaborates very closely with the leadership while defining the SMART goals or the OKR mapping and all. And we tend to find that off late, like we are using a lot of AI, even especially generative AI, in terms of refining the OKRs and what kind of key results would be looking at. So going forward, like you said, there could be a transition from a deterministic to a probabilistic approach.
Correct.
But we tend to rely too much on the generative AI aspect in terms of refining our sometimes the. So where is that guardrails where we should keeps, because sometimes your OKRs are little too ambitious, and there is no, sometimes it goes overboard, too many things. So how do you, using AI, but you should be have your grounded in terms of reality, the capabilities of the organizations, the capability of your team, as a product management or as a product manager, how do you apply those guardrails?
Vidisha, would you like to take that? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So like I was saying, like, I also have faced this, like when we become too reliant on the AI and then we feel that, we do not assess how our teams are, we do not assess how individuals are, and then we try to, just give, say a score. We just imagine that we'll have this, percentage achieved, or, this is the score that we foresee, thinking from the AI perspective. But like I said in all of my questions, that you need to have that balance, at least from your own standpoint and from your experience. So where you need to understand where your team stands, you need to understand the, what is the structure of your team, and also what are the capabilities that you have. And based on that, and also, like, you can think of some of the results that, or some of the OKRs that can be predicted from the AI, or you take some of the optimistic approach that AI tells. But at the same time, you need to have that, like, that is something that you need to incorporate, that we should not be too much reliant on the AI, but at the same time have our own KPIs, or like I was saying, like, you do understand your team, and you do understand how the performance could be. So over there, you have to draw a balance and probably challenge, and at times, just have a more realistic opinion over there, rather than being totally dependent. Like, that's what I feel, you have to practice.
So, Moina, to add one thing, now there are two parameters that you all of are aware of. One is called definition of ready, one is called definition of done. So these two are the typical guardrails that we conventionally used to check that how am I ready to work with, I mean, when can we start our work, right? That's the definition of ready, and we have got a lot of checklist item. And what is the other one? That is the definition of done, which is beyond acceptance criteria, right? That covers both functional acceptance as well as the compliance part. Now, when I say compliance, it can be quality compliance, it can be process compliance, it can be domain compliance as well. Now, the time has come to think about another definition, which is called definition of ethical consideration. Or maybe you can say generative AI concept, because there are a lot of dimensions, right? Responsible AI, trust, right? Fairness, bias, right? Compliance, right? And explainability. All those things can be also checked. And also, one more thing is, you are using AI, but you are not measuring the team's effectiveness, the KPI. Because, right, how the team, whenever the team is using, let's say, GitHub Copilot, it's not about just a checklist item like retrospective. Oh, we do retrospective, we never generate any retrospective action item. That is never going to help. Correct? So we do use GitHub Copilot, and we try to show some quantifiable benefit, right? So that we can pull more story, we can complete more story in the defined sprint. So these all things should come into that another definition of ethical readiness for the AI. So that can be used as a guardrail, and which we have started practicing in our own organization. Again, still it is an evolving thing, right? As we know, right? Still there is no clear-cut guidance given. It is every organization is trying in their own way, but this is often coming as a new new guardrail, right? People should be using.
Yeah, why I brought up this question is that sometimes as a agile coach, I have pitched in where
Yes,
the product management is being too ambitious in
correct.
times of getting the admiration of the leadership.
Exactly.
That okay, we are thinking so much out of the box and this and that, but behind that, it's the AI, generative AI's
Right.
influence.
Correct.
So
Correct.
thank you,
Yeah.
Subrot and
Yeah.
Vidisha, for your insights.
Yeah. Any other question? I think Shubhra, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a couple actually, but I don't know whether time will permit. So
That's
one
okay, go
is regarding data privacy. I mean, we talked about using encryption and all, but then in the practicality, we have seen customers being very rigid, right? Even though we tell them that we are using so and so encryption and your data is totally private, but then we we have seen a very lower trend of customers actually getting convinced with that and going to take your product. So as a product owner, how you can build that confidence for your customer?
Yeah, so basically, this has been the case with us as well. And I agree 100% with you that generally it's very difficult to make sure that the customers agree with you. But as a look, what we did in our past organization would be we take up a small pilot project. And in that we used some of the data, not all, like I was saying, a very specific few data we used to design something that the customers wanted. And thereby, once we could build that, and that was first shown to the customers, and then we took the feedback from the customers. We went around, and then we got to know that if there are any concerns that they have. So there was this kind of a small situation that I can think about right now, which was taken into account, and thereby you build the confidence of your customer. But having said that, it would never be that they'll be ready to share a lot of data with you. But with whatever limited access you can build that confidence with, I think that gives you a starting point where you can convince your customers that your data is safe. These are the checks that we are implementing, so that it's not accessible, and there are roles, say by roles, and say by different encryption that we were talking about, your data is safe. And so this has been a pilot project that we had worked on, and thereby a little bit of confidence we could gather from the customer point of view.
I can just give one example here. Now, typically, you know that for some of the BFSI or confidential product, we used to set up a secure space, correct? So where people are not allowed to take so and so things, etc. Now things have become very stringent. Now I have seen one of the project where people are not even allowed to take their mobile phone, smartphone, right, till the time they are in that ODC. They are not supposed to take, and there is always a check, right, with them that okay, they should not be able to carry any devices. They cannot even take the organizational laptop. The client given laptop will stay in that ODC itself. That is not going to go outside as well. So they are, and also the client is investing heavily to create a firewall for them, additional, right, security, creating a firewall that whatever work you do, you have to do in their client, right, space, because otherwise you are not allowed to do that. It's a very, very difficult situation for the developer, but that is how the clients are taking a lot of precautions, understanding these, right, data leakage and other things as well. Now, there are many other practices, but so far what I've observed, I'm just sharing with you, Shubhra. So there had been a lot of stringent practices getting implemented to ensure the data is not leaked. But always there is a chances of failure.
Yeah, because like what happens, I mean, with my experience in the printing industry, I'm
Mm-hmm.
from Lexmark, so
Mm-hmm.
we have seen a lot of resistance, especially from federal accounts or the US
Mm-hmm.
government accounts, and they are very, very rigid in
Correct.
accepting that. And because of that, I think in practicality, there are a lot of stuff that we need to still maintain an older version and then with the
Exactly.
older technology and then go ahead with the new. So two parallel versions running on.
Correct.
So that's the reason I asked the question. And the second one is with this over reliance on AI. I mean, we all know that there might be chances of failures as well. So as a PM, how do we ensure that we keep a check on the design where these failures are handled gracefully?
Yes, so I think this is a very nice question, because there is a lot of chance of, if you're over reliant on AI, there, and I also mentioned this in one of the answers where Shubhabruto was talking about, having those uncertainties, etc. what you can do is, as a backup, there should be always a backup plan as a product manager or as a product owner, something that is a mitigation plan. So say, for example, there is something that did not work in your favor, then you should have that shippable item, which is fast shippable item, which can act as a safety net for you,
Correct.
which might not require an AI assistance, or might not have heavily dependence on AI, and that is where you can ship that and get more confidence from your users. So in my opinion, I think that is the best solution that you have, is always have a small item in your in your mind or somewhere, which is in case if you're doing something that you have not tested before, and it's a new thing and you do not know if it will work in your favor or not, then have something in the backup, and that might not be heavily reliant on AI.
Something like a fallback option, right?
Correct.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Vidisha.
Any other question? Okay. If not, so let me quickly summarize what we have learned. So first of all, a lot of insight, right? A lot of great questions, etc. So in summary, what we are expecting or what we see here, the role is now expanding from the feature management to the stewardship of the intelligence system. We all know about the blind delegation versus the stewardship delegation. So we are not delegating everything to the intelligence system, but we are keeping an oversight on top of the data that is being fed from the right AI. And then we take a final decision. Final decision is still on us, that whether we should take that suggestion or not, right? As Vidisha rightly explained time and again. Now, as AI reshapes product across every industry, the role of the product management is no longer about delivering features. Rather, they are more of a orchestrating intelligent systems responsibility. So we are using that as a lever accelerator to do our job in a better way. It's a co-creation. Now, success now depends on how well the product manager balance data and intuition, personalized and privacy, speed and governance, and finally innovation and trust. There has to be right balance in all the area. The organization that will lead in the AI era are those that build product which are not only powerful and adaptive, but also transparent, inclusive, secure, and human-centered. So in nutshell, the future of the product management lies in designing intelligence that elevates people, not replacing them or not replaces them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
being present. Yeah.